The following podcast is rated G for Gammon. Please be aware it may contain some coarse language and is not suitable for children or gammon audiences. Say true God.
Seriously? Say true God.
God. Always say true God.
Seriously? Say true God.
God. We're back. Say true God. Them yarns.
Say true God.
God. Always say true God. Them yarns. Oh yeah, after a week's break, we are back, as the title would say. The music. Hello, Aaron Nagus. Full name, full government name we're going for again this week.
Hello, Kylie Jeanette Michelle Wallace.
Chooch, that is not my middle names, but I'll take it. Let's come up with middle names until I like one. I like that.
Okay, I'll bring a new one in every week.
All right, let's do it. Thanks to everyone for the patience. I want to just say this podcast is a very black ass podcast for a reason. We're not professionals. We actually have full-time jobs and lives. Yes. You have kids.
I have kids. I've actually got 2 jobs.
I've got 2 jobs. I've got 2 jobs too. So, last week was crazy. You were traveling. I was super tired, getting pumped at my new job, plus had family in town, so I didn't have time to edit. So, sorry. And you know what? I just don't think anyone cares. Like, I go, no one's going to care. And then I get a message Friday morning, where's the drop? And I'm like, damn it. So, shout out Brother Ansgar there. Sorry about that, everyone. But we're back. And I thought we'd, speed it up and talk about something that's pretty controversial that's happening this week if you're in Australia. It is the Take Australia Back protests or whatever they're calling it. What are you knowing it as?
They're calling it March for Australia.
I've also heard Australia First. Like, first of all, get your name sorted. What's ours?
Can't even work out what the name is.
Seriously. Ours is pretty simple when we go marching. Black Death and Custody protests. See that? Bam. One title, one meaning.
Pro-Palestine March.
Free Palestine March. Pretty easy. Straight to the point. You know what we're doing. This one, we've got Australia First. March for Australia. Take Australia back. Take our country. Come on, guys. What's the message?
I think the reason why they're having so much trouble coming with the name is because they're trying to avoid all the bad ones, so like people come up with their different names, so they're like, oh no, we're not there, we're marching for this. So
they don't want the racist white party back. Like, there's
exactly.
None of that. Okay,
they're like, oh look, we don't want to be the KKK march. we're the fly for the march for the Australian flag march.
We're here to just be Australia first.
Treat Australians right.
It just doesn't make sense. So if you don't know what we're talking about, there is some demonstrations going on, supposed to be planned for the 31st of August at this point, and it's dubbed Take Our Country Back or March for Australia or Australia First, whatever you want to call it. They're demonstrations, they're protests. They're set to occur across major Australian cities, and I've also seen some regional towns getting involved.
Oh yeah, that's what they're trying to. They're trying to make it Australia's biggest march. So they're saying that every person in Australia should march. And even if you live in a small town, you need to just get out there and march with your Australian flag.
Australia.
One flag, one nation.
Yeah. So apparently that's what should be happening. They're being promoted mostly on TikTok. So I feel like TikTok and Facebook is where I've seen it most.
Yeah.
And these platforms, do they have a responsibility in promoting some of this stuff? And different story if it was something different. But right now, I asked Uncle Chatty. By the way, that's catching on. A lot of people saying Uncle Chatty.
Yes.
Auntie Chatty. Yep.
I said it the other day.
Yep.
And today.
A lot of people going to me, oi, when you asked Uncle Chatty about, I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's its name. I did ask Uncle Chatty about these protests because, like most people, I'm confused. I'm like, what is it? Is it a white Australia march? Is it we're all Australian, taking it back? I don't know what we're taking it back from. There's a lot of confusion. So I asked Chatty and I'm like, what's the main objective of these protests? Like, who's organising it, first of all? There's no clear leadership, Chatty said. No clear leadership. But there is a far right and white nationalist alignment to these protests. What they're about, stop or drastically reduce mass migration to Australia. Okay, let's just let that sink in for a little bit.
mass immigration.
So the majority of people that are going to be taking part in this are Australians, whatever that looks like. But in all the promotions I've seen is an Australian flag, very white. It is aligned with far right and white nationalists. So white supremacists are organising this, and they want to stop mass migration to Australia. Just let that sink in. White people who want to stop mass migration to Australia to Aboriginal land. Silence.
Now that they're not the biggest immigrants to the country, they're getting worried that those immigrants will do the exact same thing to them what they did to us.
How dare you? Can I just tell you a story about this exact thing?
Yeah.
So these protests are meant to go on in the next few days here in Australia. But it's funny because I've seen it's coming up on socials, obviously. And the way that I kind of found out about this was that I have an auntie my dad won't mind me saying this, on my dad's side, who is my white side. Now, I didn't grow up with my white side. The only family that I kind of knew from that side was my dad growing up. They all migrated here. And I've told this story. They've migrated here from Scotland back in the 60s. My dad, all of his siblings, his mum and his dad, they were part of the 10-pound POM movement, if you remember that, when they let immigrants come in back in the day.
Yeah, they were paying you to.
They were paying, come to Australia. You can pick oranges, and there's beaches, and we want workers, and there's work, and come and live here and populate. And now those same people are like, no, wait, don't come in anyone else. Now, I know this because my aunt, now I've had a few cousins I've tried to interact with over the years on that side. Turns out they're all racist. So I just didn't engage. And when I was younger, my mum took me down, and my mum and my dad, when I was first born, I think it was about 6 months to a year old, took me to Adelaide to meet the white side of the family, my dad's side. My dad, when he migrated, he took off around Australia, travelled, loved North Queensland, stayed up there, hooked up with a black woman, and just stayed in North Queensland. Good for him.
Good for him.
And that's how he came to be there. Living the dream. The rest of his family migrated to Adelaide, never left. Just stayed in Adelaide, stayed there, lived in Elizabeth and Gawler, all the places that you wouldn't want to go to in Adelaide. Rough as guts. Anyway, they took me down there when I was young, okay? And they were quite racist towards my black Aboriginal mother. She told them all to get effed, grab the black baby, aka me, because they didn't really care about the black baby. Didn't want to know her, didn't want to know me.
Yeah.
My dad told them to all get effed as well. They took off, never went back to Adelaide. She said, you're never going back there again. And we never did.
Fair enough too.
Until I was about 14, and my dad took me down there by myself because his mother was sick. So that was the first time I really had met my family, till I was 14. Now, over the years, I'm 40 now, right? There's kind of good ones out of that family. And I think every black family that has any sort of white part of their family has a checkered kind of relationship with that family, I would dare say. Now, the other week, the one good auntie I have left, the one good white family member I had that my dad really likes, she has been sharing these White Australia, Take Back Australia protests coming up.
Goodness.
So she's
the immigrant from Scotland.
The white immigrant from Scotland who came here when she was young has now been sharing, but here's the catch. Here's the catch. I've screenshot it because she's quite. She would be, she'd have to be in her late 50s. Oh no, 60s, definitely 60s. She's in her 60s.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm giving her a little bit of slack. I'm like, I screenshotted it. I sent it to her, and I'm like, do you know that what these are? Do you know who's organising this? White supremacists are organising this. This is a very anti-immigration. We don't like brown people situation. Yeah. Just want to let you know, just in case you didn't know. And she's like, oh, sorry, thanks for telling me. I didn't even know that was reposted on my page. My 5-year-old granddaughter has been mucking around with my phone, and she's been, she sometimes repress things and she doesn't know what she's doing. And that and I was like, oh, okay, yep. No worries. Makes sense.
5-year-old granddaughter.
Yep. Now, keep in mind, up until this point, she's the nice auntie. She's been lovely. I've met her a few times now. So I've given her the benefit of the doubt the first time. Now, again, the other day, she posts about when Albanese talked about the two-state, recognizing Palestine as a state.
Okay.
So when he came out and said that a couple of weeks ago, she's reposted that and said, what a D-head, right? I've like, and then again has reposted another one of these promotions for this Take Back Australia protest. I've screenshot it and I said, I don't think this is a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
At this point, I just don't know if our values align. And she's like, that was my granddaughter. I'm like, yeah, and what about this bit? I'm like, which with the Albanese and Palestine? She's like, I just think he's an idiot. I don't agree with his politics. So what politics is that? That Palestinian people don't have the right to be recognised as their own people, as their own sovereign people. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't think our values align. And then she blamed it on the 5-year-old again. I was like, no, it's not the 5-year-old. Let me tell you what it is. It's a migrant who's come to Australia who now doesn't want to make room for other migrants.
Yeah, exactly right.
Who are you to have that position?
That's crazy.
Like,
it's absolutely crazy.
I will not keep you on my page
how are you
in my
gonna be a
life.
migrant? Like, does she still have an accent?
She's got a very thick Scottish accent. And I'm like, the irony of it all. I'm like, and she's like, I just don't, I have my own politics and I am entitled to have my own say. And I said, oh yeah, you are, but I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to see it.
No.
And you also need to know you benefit off Aboriginal land, and you have done as a migrant. So who are you in a position to tell other people that they cannot come here? Gross.
Yeah, exactly right.
Unfriended, bye. So I told my dad, I'm like, sorry, your last good little family member, don't want to know him. My dad's like, oh, she's on her racist stuff again. By the way, that's the dogs in the background, everyone. That's the dogs.
I can't hear them. I'll get you on full bull. I can't hear you.
Oh, look, I'm sure everyone else is going to be able to hear them. They're playing up standard time to play up. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I found out about these protests. But tell me about you. How did you find out about them?
Yeah, I saw that the actual person who started the people who started that page, that the first group, the one who took the initiative to try to start this rot. One's an influencer. He's a right-wing nut job. Very racist towards Aboriginal people, as they all are. That's how they make their grifting money. And a Nazi, so a white nationalist. They're the two blokes that started this page, this march on the 31st for Australia. So that was the foundation of it. And then old mate has the cheek to say that it's an immigration problem where we have a housing problem. Meanwhile, he's a Nepo baby. His dad's a multi-millionaire. And the company that they run has 30,000 empty houses. Empty, not full. 30,000 empty houses. That's part of their business plan. And he's got the cheek to be there like, oh, these immigrants come and taking all their housing. Meanwhile, this lad doesn't have a job because his dad's a multimillionaire and his dad is the one that's stopping Australians from having housing. Like there was a million empty houses last census in 2021.
No.
And they're saying it's the immigrants' problem. Come on.
The thing with this too is that it is that to halt the mass migration, because we're losing Australian identity. We need to push back on multiculturalism and we're losing Australian culture. Like, I guess the question is, what is Australian culture? What is it to you?
Yeah.
And what is it to me?
I've had this conversation before with people when they say, Australia Day, we just want to celebrate Australian culture.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but what is that like?
What does that look like?
What is actually uniquely Australian that is your culture? Because barbecues aren't Australian. Beer isn't Australian. Mates aren't Australian. The beach isn't uniquely Australian. Like all these things that we have that when you think about the media and everything that displays as Australian, is just stuff that's been brought in from people from other countries.
Yeah. And those things were also here way before white people were here. So
exactly.
Obviously the beach I'm talking about, not barbecues, but we had our own version. But these things that like people want to protect that are Australian, like uniquely Australian, like, but what is that? Is it our accent? Because we've all got different accent. Is it our language? because it's very like that's a cultural aspect, right? It's language and all these types of things. Is it food? Do we have a specific food that people are trying to know?
Other than Vegemite. Vegemite is the only
Like-
uniquely Australian
And
thing.
that's been sold off before. So like
America owns it, so it doesn't matter.
it's like, what I would love to know, what is it that you're trying to protect? Because is it we just don't want immigrants here because we don't look like Australians anymore? And I saw a really interesting thing that this guy was a TikTok the other day, and he was saying, you know, when what started immigration in Britain was actually British people who went out and said, come to Britain, we're great, come and work, and like it's so great, and like you can do this and you can do that. And so they went to all these countries, Africa and Syria and all types of come, you know, India. And so they did, and they worked their rings off, and they got what they wanted to build the country. And now those same people are just wanting a little slice of that benefit that, you know, they put in the work to do that, to build that country. And now England are like, no, we just want to be white again, and we don't want any brown people here. And that's what this is about, really.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that's racism.
I think we all know what they're trying to protect is white. Like that's what it is.
White.
It's not that they're not trying to protect Australian culture, because they only talk about white countries. They're like, look at the UK, look at blah blah blah, like these white countries that are being overtaken by colored people. They don't say, look at Vanuatu. Yeah, you know, like Vanuatu has an increasing immigrant population, and they're all the rich people that are moving to, you know, the white people and Chinese people moving to Vanuatu because the property's cheap and you get to retire on a tropical island. But you don't see them saying, look at Vanuatu being overrun by the white people and the Asian people. You know what I mean? Like they're not worried about that.
There's an immigration problem there. There's not, because it's not the immigration problem that's brown.
Yeah, it's the white people that they're worried about. And I'll say it again, they're just worried that all these immigrants are going to come in and do what they did to us. That's the whole point. That's what they're scared of. They're scared that they're not going to learn the language. Like nobody that's going to be marching on March 31st, on August 31st, that says let's protect Australian culture. None of them are going to know how to speak any Aboriginal language.
No,
they probably wouldn't even know how many there are.
No, they wouldn't.
You go through that march and say how many Aboriginal languages are there on this country, and they'll say some racist shit. They don't know.
It really is about racism. That's the main objective here. And I think, you know, I've seen some black fellas going, yeah, but we need to, you know, we don't have houses. We should be looking after our own first. And like, you know, what about mob? And like, if we adopt that same mentality, then we're no different than the oppressors.
Exactly. And we're no different from the oppressors because we're just punching down.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of the system is that we're fighting each other, not actually looking at who's controlling it. Like who's got the 1 million empty houses that are getting tax breaks from people. You know what I mean? Like negative gearing. We spend billions of dollars every year in Australia so that mostly rich people can buy investment properties to sell to rent to poor people.
Yeah.
If we took away negative gearing, 10 years ago, the amount of Airbnbs would be halved because people can't afford Airbnbs. But they negative gear it and they turn it into a business and they buy another one and they buy another one. So you have people who have like 6, 7, 8, 20 houses, and without negative gearing, which is welfare, it's government welfare, without that, they would not be able to do it. And then ones that will have the cheek to say these immigrants are taking our jobs. Like these immigrants are taking all the houses. Like, no, your greed is taking up the houses because it's rich people doing it.
You know what my favorite part of the last few years was when COVID happened and no immigration could happen because everyone was not coming in. And then all the farmers were like, we have nobody to pick our crops. And no Australians stood up to say, we'll do it.
No, exactly.
None of them. Yeah. You know, like there is parts of it where Australians will go, you know, they're taking our jobs. You're not doing them jobs. Do you know how rare it is? And this is a bad example, but do you know how rare it is? I get an Uber Eats driver that isn't brown come to my
Yeah.
house. I don't have no
Yeah,
Australian
no.
people dropping food off at my house.
Yep.
These mob out here are hustling, man, and I appreciate the hustle. That's the
Yep.
thing, right? Like I'd rather take people that are fleeing war or trying to come here to build a better life for themselves in whatever
Yeah.
capacity that is, as a student, a migrant, whatever you want to be, as a refugee, than people who grew up here and who are entitled, that are running these protests here that are actually a stain on what this country is actually about. It's un-Australian.
Exactly. 100%. And the other thing, like what you just said, when they talk about mass migration, they talk about the numbers that are coming in. I'm just Googling it now. There's a percentage of them, and I heard it the other day, but I forgot what it was.
I think it was Pauline. Was it Pauline carrying on about the money that's going out? Did you hear that?
No. So this is
I love how I can just mention it by first name and people know who we're talking about.
yeah.
Your Auntie Pauline.
Your auntie now. Yeah. So Australia is one of the world's top destinations for international students. And the only reason why we can afford to have the deadliest universities is that we have let's say it's 2,000 people. I'm going to make a number up here. And it's like 800 of them are students. So they're not here permanently.
Yeah.
They're here to go to university. And yes, they're taking out rentals, but they're also paying for our tertiary education system. Like that's how we have some of the world's leading universities, is because people from overseas want to study here and they pay ridiculous money
Big
to do
money.
it. They're not getting HECS. Like
No.
Aussies,
They don't have Oz study. They don't have ab study, none of these things. They have to work and study. They have to save for years to come over here and then bust their holes delivering Uber Eats and doing the rest.
Exactly.
To pay for our institutions for their education to better themselves.
And that's the biggest group of immigrants that are coming in every year. So when we're talking about all these, like, I can't remember, somebody did a breakdown, and like the number of people who are actually moving here that aren't people working in fields because white Australians won't do it, or going to university, or skilled migrant visas, which is like doctors and all the jobs that we can't fill. Like that's the vast majority of people that are coming here. It's not like the way they're talking, it's like, oh, all these Indian people are coming here to vote for Labor, and that's the only reason why Albanese let them in. Like, it's seriously a talking point for right-wing nut jobs, is that Labor only increased immigration is because they want them to vote for them, and they're speeding up the citizenship process so these people can vote for Labor and keep Labor in. Labor doesn't need to do that. Like, the Conservative parties are screwed. They got no leadership.
Yeah.
They got like 15% of the vote was their like largest vote. They're not going to win. Like Labor doesn't need to be bringing in immigrants to win, but it just helps these small-minded, ignorant fools to think that there's no possible way that Australians don't agree with them and that Labor sucks. It must be the immigrants. It must be
the
these
immigrant.
Yeah, and they're blaming a lot of Indian people because that's one of the largest migrant groups now.
Yeah.
And obviously they're the ones you see driving, those people from that subcontinent are the ones driving the Ubers and the ones, working in the supermarkets and blah, blah, blahs. And because they're the most visual, they're the ones copying it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's so ironic to me that this country that was built on migration and people coming here and literally we will all you have to do is pay this amount of money, £10, and you can come here. They wanted Italians to come here and all sorts of other brown people because they were hard workers and they knew we need to build this country to expand, to like have an economy, to have a society. Come in. And now we're such a mixed country. All of a sudden, it's no, stop now. We're getting too brown. The white faces are getting lost in this country that is a black country. This is a black country. This is an Aboriginal country.
Aboriginal land. Like, what are you talking about?
This was a brown country. You came here with the whiteness.
You can't reclaim it.
And now you can't reclaim something that was never yours. Come on now.
I had to laugh. I went to Sydney last week. Like I said, I was traveling for work, walking through the city, and I was like, I can see why these white fellas are worried. Like, because, Sydney's really multicultural.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't feel uncomfortable because as an Aboriginal, that's how your whole life is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're walking around thinking, oh, spot the Aussie. Meanwhile, I'm like, bruh, like, this is what it's like no matter where I walk in Australia.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if I'm in a country town or I'm in unless I'm in an Aboriginal community, I'm always a minority, and
Yeah.
so now they're feeling that, and for them that's threatening.
Yeah. How the
That they
tables have turned.
Yeah, how the tables are turned. So I had a I had a really amusing moment, little thought to myself as I drank my um what's that thing with the bubbles?
Bubble tea.
Bubble tea. As I drank my bubble tea and
You're
ate
an
my crepe.
uncle.
Drank my bubble tea and ate my crepes
Oh
and
my
someone
God.
else,
Bougie.
yeah. I was like, look at this delicious food. Imagine we were just
Oh,
eating English people food. With
honestly.
potatoes and fish and chips and
You know, my dad told me a recipe the other day. I thought he made it up. He goes,
uh,
my mum used to make, he called them potato cakes or something. And I was like, that's not a thing. He's like, yeah, we had it for, he goes, we had it for breakfast. We used to have it in Scotland for breakfast. They were called potato scones, potato
potato
scones.
scones.
And I was like, that's not a thing, Dad. And then anyway, I Googled it and it is a thing. All they're called tatties, like tatty scones, right? And
Yeah,
it's a Scottish and Irish breakfast thing. And you think about it back then, like my dad was born in the 40s.
yeah,
And you know, so like the 50s and 60s, you'd have a household of, you know, 7 kids.
yeah,
And all it is leftover mashed potato,
yeah.
flour, and some water, and maybe a little bit of like a self-raising. If you don't have self-raising flour, you had yeah, I know, and you had
I'm
just
looking
like
at. I
baking
googled it while you're
soda.
thinking.
Yeah, and it's just one big pancake, and then you just
It's
chop it
just a
up.
potato pancake.
It's just a potato pancake, and it's as basic as shit. And imagine if that's all we ever had, right? Like there's
Ugh,
nothing else. Imagine our food if we
bruh.
didn't have immigration in Australia.
Tatey scones. Kill me now.
I'd like to just say that probably my favorite immigration food is Thai food. So thank you so much, Chinese. Shout out.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things I saw somebody say. Like, for anybody who doesn't march on the weekend, go to like every international place you can have and have like a lunch or have like a dinner. Like
Yeah,
support these amazing people who are either from immigrant families or they're immigrant families themselves.
yeah,
It's like 1 in 3 Aussies are an immigrant or from an immigrant family now. Like it's
yeah,
not like it's a
yeah.
it's not like it's a surprise. This hasn't been a thing. Like, and this is a segue to another episode, but we don't have enough babies to keep our population going. If you're not like blackfellas are one
Don't
of the
blame
only.
me.
I'm doing my part. Blackfellas the only population other than I think I
Other
might have
than
said this
me.
with another one other than I think it's blackfellas and
I'm gonna say Polynesian mob too. They
yeah,
love a
maybe the
kid.
Polynesians. Like there's only like 1 or 2 groups who are actually having more babies than are dying, and we're
Really?
one of them.
Oh damn.
But the problem is that we're also dying really early, so we're not,
We have a
you
younger
know,
population that
yeah. So we have a
yeah,
younger population, but we're having more babies than are dying. But these other white people aren't, and these other people aren't. They're like they're not. They're just
so then I guess
living
the
their life.
question is, right, if we're like we can say all of this, but then I guess
Mm.
the counter question, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, is
Mm.
so what happens with the housing crisis, you know, because
Yep.
there are like I'll be realistic. I look out of my street and I've got there's a lot of Chinese people that live on my street now. I've got a lot of Indian people that live on my street. Lots of different migrants and all peoples of all different backgrounds that are in my street. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I know my rent's going up. I know I'll probably want to buy a house at some point if I can afford it. And I'm competing with like people who have money, who are migrating here, who probably have money and are taking up the houses. Like this is the argument, right, of
Yep.
this protest. So what's the counter argument then, I guess, to that? Aaron, I'll put that one to you.
I'm glad you asked me this question. I've been thinking about this for 17 years. So, 2 things. One, there's a few countries that do some really great things around local ownership over international ownership. I think it might be Singapore. So you can't own a house if you're an international person. And I'm just going to make Singapore up. I don't know which country it actually is over there. Unless you're with a local,
A
unless you're
local.
with the national. So that's the only way you can buy a place. So you'll never own it. You own 50% of it, and that's it. And there's another one that says you can only own places below the 3rd level. So all these high-rise buildings, if you're international, you can only buy the bottom three, which
Yeah,
means
right.
all the crap ones. And then when you're in a high-rise, you don't want to be living in level 2 or 3. You want to be living everywhere else. So they've got these there's like a sky tax and something like that. And the last thing, and this is something I've been arguing with for at least a decade now, is we have so much middle class welfare in Australia that supports rich people. So negative gearing, we spend billions of dollars on it. There's a capital gains tax thing that the Howard government, I think, might have brought in. And literally it just encourages you to lose money in the rental market so you get a tax break and for you to buy a house and then rent it out, and then buy another one on those. So so you can just keep building equity in these places, renting it to people, negative gear another one, et cetera, et cetera. So it's encouraging you to, if you already have a house, it's much easier to get a second house than it is if you don't have a house at all. You know what I mean? So it's easy for me now.
Yeah.
We earn similar money. It's easy for me to go get a second and third house than it is for you to get your first house.
Yeah.
Because I've already got the base. I've already got my foundation.
Also, I dare say you earn more than me. I'll just say that.
Okay.
What a
That's
bougie guy.
debatable.
Eh?
That's debatable. As a businesswoman, but anyway. Okay, look, I'm talking just me and you, not obviously my wife.
Don't look
who's
at my
much rich.
taxable income is all I'm going
Yeah.
to say. Now, Gavin, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's our issue, is that we've made it so much easy. We've made
Yeah.
it so easy for people to have multiple investments, and so many politicians. There's one politician who has 53 investment properties.
Especially
53.
Peter Dutton, he had a fair few. That's
Peter Dutton is a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
And it's all like investment property. So he started with houses, and now he owns like shopping centers. But that's how that works. If you have rich parents,
Yeah.
and they're willing to go guarantee for you, you can get a house. And then once you have that one house, you negative gear the second house. And once you have that house, then you can do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it's just a rubbish way of living, and it's just meant that we've just priced
Yeah.
everyday Australians out of houses.
And it is difficult. And I kind of can understand that point of view, right? Of someone who is like an average Australian, whatever they look like, whatever color they are, who might earn just an average wage, or, not even now. It doesn't even have to be average. You could earn a fair bit and still not be able to get in, because
Exactly.
there is a housing crisis of there's just not enough houses being built. There's not enough like you said, there's more people buying more properties and it's easier for them. So to try and even crack into the market, this cost of living is really affecting us. And I think, is this the problem, is that people have turned their attention on like struggle to let's punch down on other people because it's
Yes.
easier, instead of going, actually, why are we having a housing crisis? Why aren't the government doing more to change this for all Australians? And how do we prevent this? Because it's only going to get worse if something doesn't change.
It's a typical conservative political BS rhetoric. Instead of actually looking at the issue, which is an economic issue, so this is class warfare, they've turned it into race warfare.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking about old mate that has 30,000 houses empty to get
Yeah.
as a business plan, they're going, oh, look at these Chinese people buying all the houses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we had a legislation that actually said you can't own 30,000 empty houses. If you have an empty house, you're getting taxed. If you raise taxes for every empty house, I bet you there'd be shitloads more houses up for rent because there's not a tax break anymore.
So
So
then
tax the crap out of people who have empty houses, and then all of a sudden watch the market change.
So then what do we do about this housing crisis? What do we do? Because this is part of the issue, right? We do have people coming in that are buying properties, that are in the market because they have money. They can just come in and buy a house in Australia. Is there something that we have to do to limit that so that the average Australian or anyone in Australia can get into the market? I know this week the Labor government announced their big plan for, I guess, home ownership and the housing crisis. So, this is the argument. And so it's like, okay, if that's the argument, how do we fix that? But it's not going to fix we need to stop immigration. That's not going to happen. The ship has sailed.
If we stopped immigration, then we'd probably go into a depression because
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
There's so
A
much
recession, sorry, not a depression. We're
Yeah.
going to a recession because we don't have enough workers.
No, we don't. And not enough people are going to be doing those jobs that it's clear that happened in COVID. It just didn't happen.
And what's funny is all these old racist white people are going to be having Filipino and other international people, nurses, wiping their bums. They're like, ugh, I hate immigrants. But then they're like, I would die if this immigrant wasn't here helping me.
This is it. Like the colonial ship has sailed on immigration.
Yes.
People are here. People are going to continue to come here. Why? Because we have such a great
It's an amazing country.
That's the thing. So you can't just build that and live amongst it and profit off that and benefit off that, because that has also come from somebody else who struggled. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people struggle. You benefit from that. So you now can't sit there and go, no one else can benefit from that, just us. Like, take a minute to reflect on that. And if you're Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander and you're thinking about marching in these marches on the weekend,
yourself.
Yeah, give yourself a big hot slap. Put some powder on your hand first so it leaves a mark. I want to leave a mark. Take a selfie. Show us. Like, I don't care if you're planning on taking part in these Take Back Australia protests. You need to dead set have a good look at yourself, and I want to see your confirmation of Aboriginality. That's all I'm going to say on that.
The best quote I've seen, to finish it off is, you march with a Nazi, you support the Nazi.
Yeah, that's 100% true. That's all we're going to talk about on this episode, because I think this episode needed to just be on its own. There is no joking matter about racism, and this is what these protests are. It is it's racism at the core of it. The organisers, the meaning behind it, the title. This country was built off oppression, and to do that to other people and to project that in 2025 is disgusting, and we're not here for it. So anyone that's marching in that, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Anyway, we'll be back next week with another episode of Them Yarns.
Yeah, well.
Say true God.
Always say true God.
Seriously. Say true God.
We're back. Say true God. Them Yarns.
Say true God.